Welcome to Wellspire, where we explore the journeys of life, health, and healing. And I am your host, Obepusebima Priscilla Agukabo. And today we are going to share insights on the topic sacred silence and spoken love and what grief needs most. We are diving into a deeply emotional and personal subject, grief. Whether you've experienced the loss of a loved one, you lost a job, you faced an expiring visa or a contract, and you find yourself struggling to make ends meet or any other challenge, working effortlessly and not seeing the results. Now, understanding how to navigate grief in its many form is actually crucial. And today we will be talking about the delicate art of, offering comfort and knowing what to say, and just as importantly, what not to say during these difficult moments. We would also reflect on a powerful thought from our previous podcast. Your God is not small, and your fear might be too big. So it's actually a saying that invites us to think about the strength we carry, even in our most vulnerable moments, and how our perspective as humans can influence our healing process. I want us to understand that grief is one of the most personal experience we go through, and that there is no manual, no right way to grieve, no wrong way to grieve. It's a deeply individual journey, and it actually can feel overwhelming to know how to support someone or what to say when they are facing such profound loss, whether the loss is recent or distant. Now, the feeling of sadness, confusion, anger, and even numbness are all parts of human experience. And grief is not only, about losing a loved one, it's also about losing in many other forms. Losing a job, dealing with an expired contract or visa, having constant miscarriages, and finding yourself with no means of survival can bring about grief. And also, divorce process or proceedings can bring about grief just as deep as and bring about grief. Now, the strength of trying to survive with no food, no support, and no direction can leave a person feeling broken and helpless. Similarly, someone diagnosed with cancer might grieve not only the disease itself, but also the life they thought they had lived, the mistakes they have made. Now, the future that seems uncertain. These forms of sorrows too are real, they are painful, and they deserve the same compassion as those we feel when we lose a loved one. Now, grief involves two people: one, the person who is grieving, and two, the people who are offering support to the individual who is grieving. Now, let's shift our attention to the people supporting the individual grieving. Now, when we speak to someone who's grieving, our words can either bring comfort or unintentionally cause pain. So it is actually important to be mindful of that, especially since grief doesn't follow a set of timeline and it doesn't end in the way we actually expect it to. Now, you might find certain phrases, though it comes with good intentions, can actually be more harmful than helpful. Let's take, for example, the popular phrase, when you tell someone, I know how you feel, which is often meant to, express empathy. It can actually minimize the unique experience of grief in a way, because each person's relationship with their lost loved one, their job or future plan is actually different. And it is important to note that no one can actually know the depth of another's pain. So instead, you consider acknowledging that you don't know how they feel, number one, but that you are there with them, number two, in whatever way they need you, number three. Now, instead of offering empty platitudes, simple words like, I can't imagine what you're going through, but I'm here for you, can actually be more helpful. It shows a willingness to listen, to be present, and to offer support without, trying to fix what cannot be fixed. And sometimes, just sometimes, silence speaks volume. Just sitting with someone, not needing to fill every moment with words, can actually provide the comfort they need. Now, there is another aspect of grief I would like us to address today. You know, that tendency to always offer spiritual words of comfort, like it's all part of God's plan, or they are in a better place now. Why these words? It could come from a place of faith, it could come from a place of love. They can unintentionally, feel dismissive to someone who is in the thick of their pain. It is important, very, very important, to allow a grieving person to sit with their emotions without rushing them, to frame it in a spiritual or philosophical context. So this brings us to a powerful saying that I want us to reflect on today, that our God is not small. And for many people, faith is a cornerstone in their grief process. Yet, even in that faith, there can be moments of deep fear, there can be moments of doubt, and there can be moments of anger, especially when we don't understand why someone we love has been taken away, or why things are not going as we have planned it. Now, this saying speaks to the enormity of God's presence and power in our lives. It is a reminder that even when we feel overwhelmed by grief, our faith has the capacity to carry us through. But it's also a reminder that fear, the fear of loss, the fear of the unknown, of facing a future without our loved ones or without the stability we once had, can, cloud our ability to see that strength within us. Grief often heightens our fears, and in those moments, we may forget just how resilient we are. And I want us to understand that God's strength is vast, and we have the strength within us, even if we don't always feel it. Grief is not just sadness, it's a full body ache. It's a quiet storm that reshapes the world of the one left behind. Now, for the person grieving, time moves differently and moments stretch. Now the air really feels heavier. And their minds replace memories like scenes from a film they can't pause or fast forward. And there are days when they manage to smile and then you feel guilty for it. Other times they want to cry, but the tears won't come. People say it actually gets easier, but they know it's not about it. It's about learning how to live with a hollow space that never quite fills. Grief changes people, which is true. To some, it softens some parts. To others, it hardens them. To others, it makes them grow quieter. And to some, it makes them reflect or become unexpectedly bold. Because once you've touched loss, you start to see life differently. But in the heart of it all, the person grieving holds on to love, holds on to memory, holds on to the hope that somehow through all of this, they'll find their way back, not to, not, they'll find their way back, not back to how things were, but forward into something new, something honest, something whole. Even if it looks like, even if it looks a little different than before. Grief can make us feel small, like the world has suddenly become too heavy to carry. But remember, your God is not too small, and that even in your darkest moment, there's a strength in you and in your faith that can help you face the fear and pain that comes with loss. Whether that loss is of a loved one, a job, an uncertain future, or a divorce process. And why that fear may feel overwhelming, it actually does not define you. For those of us supporting someone who is grieving, it's important to approach them with kindness, empathy, and patience. Allow them space to grieve in their own way, at their own pace. Your presence is more valuable than any perfect words. And to anyone listening who is experiencing grief, I want to remind you that it's okay to be afraid. It is actually okay to feel lost and not to find all the answers. But know this, your God is not too small. And why fear might feel like it's too big to overcome, remember that there's strength and healing waiting for you on the other side. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Wellspire, and I hope that these words have offered some comfort and guidance as you navigate grief, whether personally or as a support for others. Take care of yourself, and until next time, may you find peace and healing in your journey and in every aspect of your life. Thank you, and please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Have a lovely week. Bye bye.